parts of the world. Is the chancellor actually who is the tactical head. And I think you'll have solved that problem. And even the legal aspect of it, the eminent aspect of it, and even sourcing for funds. That we have no problem with it. Even the Presidential Working Party, the Minister of Education, did say that they didn't have an issue with your bill. And they are seeing it as a better way of actually reaching the chancellors immediately than through the Public Service Commission route. We shall actually take it up. And we are ready also to take up the bill as a committee, and we are pushing it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Asante. So, members, we have the Principal Secretary coming in now. Thank you. State Department. You have noted that. Actually, our agenda is for morning and afternoon session. And I think it is you had indicated in our wall. Welcome, yes. You indicated in our wall that in the afternoon we have Honorable Wamboka and then Honorable Benjamin Gadiru or Mejadong, for those of you who don't know. Who's that? Dong. That's Mejadong. Yes. So that's the afternoon session. So our last session is with the PS now. Welcome, Principal Secretary, Immigration and Citizen Services, and the team.
And a member of this committee.
Isaiah Robane, Kitutu Masaba, member of this committee.
Charusha Mamani, I'm Nyamira, member of this committee.
Manu Yendi, MD Malala, Vice Chair.
Secretariat.
Mohammed Boru, Committee Clerk.
Good morning, Pauline Juguna, Hansard Reporter.
Good morning, Romaina, Research Officer.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nora Chelagat, Media Relations Officer.
Good morning. My name is Christabel Nesula, an intern.
Good morning, Mariana Angela, intern attached to the Clerk of the National Assembly.
Good morning, my name is Andrew Chairman Officer.
Sam Richard, Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you. Julius Many member of Parliament, and Chair of the Committee. Principal Secretary. Introduce yourself and your team.
Thank you very much, Chairman and honorable members of the Committee on Education. My name is Ambassador Julius Bitok, PS for Immigration and Citizen Services. And I'm really honored to this committee. Karibu Wanja.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. I'm Christopher Wanja, Secretary, National Registration Bureau.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is James Kianda, the Secretary Administration in the department.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, good afternoon. My name is Jacob Kula, Legal Advisor to the Principal Secretary.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members. My name is Ambassador Isaac Ochen. I'm the Director General of Citizen Services.
Good afternoon, Chair and honorable members. My name is Paul Mwangeni, Secretary, Civil Registration Services.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members.
My name is Bansi Wamoyo, Deputy Director, Protocol.
Good morning, Chair, honorable members. My name is Ahmed Balala, Assistant Secretary of the State Department for Immigration.
Good afternoon, members and Chair. My name is Solomon Yatich, NRB.
NRB is what? National? Assembly wrote a letter to you, inviting you, indicating that that the Committee of Education invited you today on 22nd of October 2024, and in the letter indicated that you are requested to avail 20 copies of submissions. In the letter, we are actually trying to deal with the issue of Maisha and student IDs, which has been a problem in the country. And more importantly, that's an issue that has been affecting this committee for a while. When the students attain or when they clear form, for some of them are underage, you can't issue them with IDs. Some of them are of age, yet they have not gotten their IDs. And the ID is very important, especially in one, securing the loans, two, placement at the universities, and more importantly, even in their out-of-pocket generation of those, what we call the bahasha, what the higher education loans board gives them. So in so doing, these students actually undergo, and their parents are even at times told to guarantee them. Yet some of them are 18 years and above, and they have not got, especially in the Azal and semi-arid areas. So the purpose of our meeting this morning is to really ask you, how far are you in making sure that the student is issued with the ID on time, or the Maisha card, and more importantly, will be able to access the loans, scholarships, and even the services at the university with ease, without any problem. In fact, a number of times, these members of parliament are even forced to intervene and even try to see how to fast track that particular process. So I know very well that when you are away, we did intervene and ask the Minister of Education to use the name is card, and we also told them to use the birth certificate. That was actually a stopgap measure, knowing that the main document, which is very important for us, is the Maisha card or the ID card. So I'll give you about 20 minutes to make a presentation. Thereafter, I'll open the floor for members to interrogate your presentation, and finally, we make a conclusion. So I think this was Secretary, the floor is yours. And if need be, I know you have come with senior officers, you need them to clarify or to assist you in handling the calculation, the floor is yours. Welcome, Mr. Secretary.
I appreciate the opportunity to appear before the Committee on Education. I know it has been long overdue, and thank you, Chairman and honorable members, for understanding. I know it's not the first time that you have invited us to come, but due to different reasons, I want to appreciate the fact that you understood that we were not able to appear earlier, but on this, on the letter dated 15th of October, which was sent to us, we are here to be able to respond. And on the onset, I would like to acknowledge that we had issues with Maisha card sometime between April and August this year. And the concern raised by members of this honorable committee were really genuine and reflected actually the feeling of the people on the ground that the IDs, the Maisha cards, were not coming out as required. So on our part, I want to say that some of the issues were created by litigations. As you are aware, there have been quite a number of court cases that have hindered our rollout. Some of the issues were technical, but I'm happy to inform the members through the Honorable Chair that as we speak now, the issues around Maisha card and the ID have been resolved. We have been able to work very hard with my team here, put in measures to ensure that all the issues that have been raised have now been resolved. And allow me, Honorable Chair, to take you through a small presentation here to capture some of the issues that have been resolved. As we may all be aware, the government of Kenya on November 1st last year started the rollout of the third generation ID called Maisha Card. And after about 1 month, we had a court issue. On December 5 last year, the court issued expert orders that halted the production of the card. And we stopped for about 2.5 months. And this created a backlog of 600,000, which created a lot of uproar, a lot of complaints around the country, because we could not continue producing the third generation ID, and yet at the same time, we had decommissioned the production of second generation ID. So we had a 2.5 month period when we could not produce any cards, and yet Kenyans continue to apply, and that is why we had a backlog of 600,000 by sometime in February. Honorable Chair, the State Department put on a spirited fight, and on February 23rd this year, the court was able to lift, or rather forget the orders, and we started again producing the cards. Again, on July 25th, Hakim Nasheria also went to court again, and they were again given orders to stop us also from producing ID cards, which we call them now Maisha cards. And we went again back to court. The case was against the State Law Office and the Cabinet Secretary for Interior National Administration. But on 12th August, after about 1 month, the orders again were vacated after a strong fight. So I want to say that we have had very serious legal challenges that affected the production of IDs in the last 1 year, and that is the reason why we have a backlog, and or rather we had a backlog then, which we have actually managed to clear. One of the reasons why we had these cases in court is because, as you are aware, honorable members of the public, the civil society have a lot of interest in these issues to do with identity. There are very many issues around ID, around digitization and so on. But I want to say, honorable members, through the chair, that right now we have been able to work very hard, and currently we have been able to issue 1.8 million Maisha cards so far, 1.8 million. And the ones which have been collected so far are 1,029,000. As far as the university students are concerned, we have been able to issue 966,000 new cards for new applicants. That is people who are turning 18, and that's largely the people who are finishing school and are yet to go to college or university. In our store, we have 569 uncollected cards, which we have now in our offices and in our headquarters, which are already printed. So we are expecting 569,914 cards to be collected. And maybe, so that I get into a few details, some of the things we have done to ensure that we deal with this problem is we have been able to get into a 24-hour shift in production of IDs. Initially, we were doing only one shift. But when this problem came up, we were able to deal with it, one, by getting into a 24-hour shift. That's number one. Number two, we have been able to acquire new printers to help us in this production. Currently, we receive about 10,000 cards per day. But the current production capacity is about 32,000 per day. We produce 32,000 cards per day. And that's why we're able to move very fast and be able to deal with this problem. So as we speak right now, and when this problem of university students came up, we decided to prioritize issuance of cards to people who are completing school. Those are MPLs. And we ensure that we focused on them. And we gave all the priority. And even when
there was a problem with the court. We could not produce enough. We issued a notice, or rather we wrote a letter to the Ministry of Education to allow the students to use their birth certificates and their name cards to be able to get service from higher education loan school. So we have been working very consistently with the State Department for Basic Education to ensure that we deal with this problem. But I want to assure the committee that all the issues around identity, including the backlog and so on, they have been resolved. And I'm happy to inform the committee that my team here with myself have worked so hard to ensure that we clear this issue. The other thing which I needed to say about this identity, as we may also be aware, vetting around the border counties, which has long been here for more than 30 years, has been abolished. From 1st of May, that was abolished. That also increased the demand for IDs by about 20% or thereabouts. But I want to say that right now, it is quite seamless to get an ID. Everybody now who applies for an ID takes only 10 days and they get their IDs. And it is now paperless. You apply on eCitizen, you put your details on eCitizen, you go to an Huduma center or a county headquarters, you take your biometrics, and automatically that is relayed to our headquarters here. It is printed, and within 10 days, you have your card. So things have really moved, and that we no longer need to fill any forms. We no longer need to fill anything. You just go to Huduma Center for your biometrics. You do it on your phone. You go to Huduma Center, and then you get your card within 10 days. Even for the frontier counties, we initially felt that they were discriminated. Right now, without vetting them, they also get their IDs without any discrimination. So, Honorable Chair, I want to say that production of IDs, application of IDs has become one of the most efficient services within the government, because within a very short time, everyone who applies for an ID is able to collect. What I only want to emphasize is I want to call upon fellow Kenyans, the 569,000 of them who have not collected their IDs and they have applied, that they come, pick the IDs, and be able to collect them. And right now we have moved now to another generation of ID called third generation. So this new identity, or rather this new generation ID is very good. It's a very secure document. A secure document which, you know, initially the earlier ID, the one for, I just give additional information, Honorable Chair, the second generation ID was not very secure, because you have heard of people whose land is transferred. Somebody picks somebody's ID, they change the picture and do that kind of thing. You have heard of people who withdraw other people's money from their account. You have heard people who do what you call swim subs. But with the new generation, third generation ID, you can't do that, because the biometrics and the information about the person is in the chip. When you present it to a bank, they can look at the chip and they know the ID is not yours. Even if you wrap the picture on top, still you cannot wrap what is in the chip. So in terms of security, this is one of the most secure cards that we have ever had as a country. And as you are aware, honorable members, this is a third generation. We started with first generation in 1979, or rather 1979 years. Then we came to the one of the bigger one, 1979. And then we came to second generation in 1995, which was a smaller one, the one now we have been using, which most of us are having now. Now this is third generation, which we have been struggling. The government has been struggling since Kibaki time in the year 2005, trying to bring this third generation ID. But I want to report to honorable members that now we have succeeded to roll out the third generation ID. Of course, with litigations and with many challenges around. Notwithstanding that, at independence, we had another one called foundational ID, which was carried by our great-grandfathers. You remember the one which they used to carry around on the neck? That was the foundational ID before we came to first generation and second generation ID. Honorable Chair, so that I can be able to proceed to the next question, I would want to say that when Kenya Kwanza government came to, we thought about how are we going to handle identity issues, and we came up with 4 products. The first product in this Maisha ecosystem is what we call Maisha number. Maisha number is a number we are giving to children when they are born. When a child is born, we give them a Maisha number, a 9-digit number, which they will use in primary school, they use in secondary school, they use in university, they use in as their ID number, they use it as a KRA pin, they use it as a lifetime number. And when they die, that becomes their lifetime number. That is the first component of Maisha ecosystem. For those people who are already 18 years and above, their Maisha number is their current ID number. I'm happy to note that the Maisha number for the newborns now is a 9-digit number. But the number for the ID can either be 8-digit number, 7-digit number, or 6-digit number, depending on when one was born. So we have requested the public, if you are replacing your ID now, your Maisha number will be your ID, because we don't want to change person's records, and we wanted to do it incrementally. So we have now a Maisha number in place. The second component of this Maisha ecosystem is what we are calling now Maisha card, a 3rd generation card, which carries the Maisha number. It carries the Maisha number. When you are replacing your ID now, you get the 3rd generation ID, the number in there is a Maisha number, and it's an ID number. It's a Maisha number, it's an ID number. It's branded Maisha number, but of course it's an ID number for those people already 18 years and above, or those people who already have an ID card. And anybody now who is turning 18, or who is now born now, they get a Maisha number, a 9-digit random number. Initially, the number was serial number. That's why we have those people who have 9-digit, or rather 8-digit, 7-digit, 6-digit. But right now, the number is an algorithm, which is a random number issued, generated by the computer. The third component of this ecosystem is what we are calling Maisha Digital ID. Maisha Digital is a virtual version of your current ID. You can carry the virtual version. If you are not interested in carrying the card, you can have the card uploaded in your phone by NRP, so that you have your card on the phone, so that when you want to go to the bank and transact, you can use the virtual version of the card. The fourth component, of course, is the database, Maisha Integrated Database. We've seen the entire government is integrated into Maisha Integrated Database. We have been able to upgrade IPRS to create what we call Maisha Integrated Database, a database which connects the entire government. It connects Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, KRA, it connects Finance or Treasury, it connects Labor, it connects the entire government into one Maisha Integrated Database. So that is the configuration which we did after looking at what other countries have done, what advanced countries have done, because when we fix identity, we're able to fix many things within the economy, we're able to fix many things within the country. So one of the questions the members had asked is, there was a problem at the beginning of this system when IPRS, the Maisha Integrated Database, was not able to capture the new Maisha card, where when you want to use your card, you are told it's not active. That issue was a technical issue, because some configuration needed to have been done so that we move from 8-digit number to 9-digit number. But that issue has been sorted out. And I want to also thank the Ministry of Education, because when we formed our National Digital Identity Committee, we had members from Ministry of Education who are very, very supportive because of the interface with NEMIS. We also have people from Ministry of Health, people from KRA, National Treasury, and all the concerned, internal security, and all the concerned parties who are able to help us to be able to deal with this very important subject of national identity. So, as we speak now, Honorable Chair, we are actually in a very good place. We are in a very good position to say confidently that issues, identity have been resolved, and that we are happy that we have gotten this opportunity so that we can explain to the public also that they need to come and collect their IDs. They need to come and collect their IDs as soon as possible. Because right now, it is no longer a problem for one to apply and even for the ID to be processed. It takes the shortest time possible in the history of this country. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, thank you. I think you've really cleared 1 minute just of your time. Very good. Recognize the birth certificate. So what are you doing now? They are doing exams, 965,000 of them. What are you making sure that next year when they are going to colleges and universities, they don't have a problem? Number two, in terms of technology, and more importantly on data, you know, that particular card you are the third generation. It's doing so many things. How safe is it? Noting that Kenyans are techno-savvy. More importantly, the issues of swapping and the rest. How safe is that Maisha card? If I'm going to lump in a lot of my data in it, how safe is that particular data? Let me start with Honorable Malu.
Chairman, thank you. Yes, at one point, you were wondering why you are not appearing before us, but I think you cleared the whole thing. It looks good. However, in your talking, you are always talking, for everything you are saying ID. Even Maisha card, you are talking of ID. So I'm wondering where I'm sitting. Currently in Kenya, are we talking of when you ask to produce a document, is it an ID or a Maisha card? Just to clarify. Or the main thing is an ID which has a Maisha card with it. Then just slightly want to go back a little bit. You see, is this different from Huduma? Because you said the government has struggled with this from back in time. So at one time in between there was Huduma number. What is it? Is it different? What is it? Then finally, away from the main issue we're looking at of students, will I be required to go for the same? And if so, when? Because we are talking to Kenyans. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the information that we have received today. I want to ask, as the process was on, did you get any bottleneck anywhere? And what are you doing? Secondly, as my colleague has asked, those of us who are beyond 18 years, what is the timeline? When are we going to start, to stop using the current IDs that we have? And is it true that the Maisha card has a lifetime between certain times, as we are hearing, that it will go for certain years and then it expires? And what happens to a person who had an ID, those who are using who are beyond 18, if the ID is lost? Does he have to go for the procedures which existed, or you just go to online as you said and then you apply? Thank you.
Is Maisha card a national card that we too, who are not students at the university, can also apply? Secondly, you are issuing Maisha card to children who are just been born. You give them numbers. Are you giving them the card or you are giving them a number? Is it part of that card that a university student needs, or even me, I need one? Third point is that me as Christine Obaka, I have suffered for lack of national card. I'm married and it was very, very difficult for me to get a national card when I was changing from my maiden name to my husband's name. Up to this point in time, I've never got a national card. I normally use a passport. It has been very, very difficult to get a new card, a national card, when you are married and you want to change your
What's
name.
the national card?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
What's the national card? An identity card.
Yeah, it's ID. This card, that national card, yeah. ID card, yeah. So it has been difficult for married people to get national cards when they are changing their names. Will it be the same problem we are going through when we are getting Maisha card, if I'm entitled to have a Maisha card? The last point, this Maisha card that students will need in future, why don't you start introducing it in schools so that they don't wait until they are admitted in the universities for them to start applying? Why don't you start giving them the cards much, much earlier before they actually get admitted to the university?
Thank you. We'll come back to number 4, Moile.
Asante. It appears, first and foremost, is to appreciate what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying here is that there's more efficiency than the lot of parliament the other day. Because if we can have 569 cards that are collected, that means that we have shifted from the long queues that we saw previously. The question is, how are the applicants being kept informed about the status of the applications? Because having 570 almost ID cards which are collected, I wish to know maybe how do you communicate to them the status of the application? That you applied and it's already done, so that these people can come and pick the same. Secondly, we're talking about registration, and you've exhibited quite some competence and seamless way of getting this card at this point in time. But I'm wondering, we still have a challenge with regard to those who are seeking birth certificates at the entry level. You find that a number of parents have serious challenges accessing a birth certificate, either because the centers are far off from where they come from, either because the person doing registration are not close to them. So how are you going to boost access to birth certificates so that parents who want to enroll their kids at class 1 can actually be able to enjoy, the seamless, it's quite fast for getting the IDs as compared to IDs. And lastly, as I said here, lastly, these are small ones. It's a B of an A. I'm sure, Chair, from where you're sitting, maybe you've not seen how a Maisha card looks like. So I wish to ask, do you have a copy of Maisha card? Because where I sit, I've not seen a copy of how it looks like. Maybe if you are to show this committee how it looks like, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's good.
Things have been asked, but I want to congratulate the PS and his team for the good work they've done. Chair, you remember we were struggling as a committee to actually deal with the students who had admitted to the universities without cards. But Chair, just to reiterate on the issue of birth certificates, one appears I'm actually among the members who are facing challenges in my county on the issue of birth certificates. I know very well that most of my people give birth or they live at home. PS, how are you going to solve that issue? Because if it's going to be, you combine all these things and some people don't get this, especially those who are from the pastoralist communities. Getting those birth certificates is a nightmare. So what are you doing about that? And finally, on the issue of students getting these identity cards in high school or the senior school as we go now, we are going to face out the KCSE. Is it possible to do this? Because I remember during our time, by the time you are in Form 4, as you wind up your exams, the immigration would come to your school, and then you are issued with the identity cards. Is it possible to do that with this current system of what you are doing? Thank you.
Thank you, member for Moiben. Then we go to
the vetting process has been done away. He has also indicated that there has been an upsurge of applicants from those border counties and the cosmopolitan as well as settlement areas. My question is, what measures have you put in place so that at the end of the day we only have authentic Kenyans who benefit from the IDs, so that we don't have a situation where we get strangers or foreigners benefiting.
Thank you. Yes. Now, more importantly, so that you know this is a platform where you tell the public what does it hold.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Members, for the questions. I will answer them, and some of them I will request my colleagues to be able to answer them. Now, the first question by the Honorable Chair was about what are we doing about 965,000 students who are completing school. I want to say, Honorable Chair, that currently we are undertaking what we call school registration. It's ongoing right now as we speak. So many of our schools in liaison with the State Department for Basic Education, we are ensuring that our officers in the counties and sub-counties visit the neighboring schools to be able to register students. And that is already ongoing. In terms of technology, how safe is it? I want to say that in terms of safety, Honorable Chair, the data of Kenyans is very safe. And just to emphasize that NRB was created in 1978. And all along we have stored data of all Kenyans. We have always ensured that we comply with the Data Protection Act to ensure that their data is safe. And even as we upgrade our identity system, I want to guarantee the public and the country that the data of all Kenyans is very safe. It is very safe. We take care of it, and it's only unless you have authority to access the data is when you access it. But the current system is such that even the banks who engage us to know their customer, there's very minimal data we give to them, because the technology is able to just confirm. If you are checking with IPRS, for example, if you want to open an account or you want to get a new SIM card, usually the data the bank or the telco will query, and they are given very, very limited information on the individual. But the entire information, the system is configured in a way that if the bank wants to confirm that you are a Kenyan, they get that access and they confirm you are a Kenyan. So in terms of data security, data safety, in terms of technology, the Kenyan data of all Kenyans is very safe. We store it very safely. Now, Honorable Ichende asked about Maisha card and ID, and wants a clarification. According to the international standards, every country should have a national identity card. And that national ID is what in Kenya we have branded Maisha card. It is, so the current ID, the third generation, has a brand called Maisha card. But actually, if you look at that card, and I think I have mine here, it is written National Identity Card, but it's also branded Maisha card. So this is a national ID, but the brand is called Maisha card. So I wanted to make that clarification. So what we are going for now is Maisha card. If you lose your ID card, the second generation, and you apply, you will get a Maisha card, because we have decommissioned the second generation ID. You cannot get the second generation being produced. So what you get is a Maisha card. And this Maisha card carries what you call a Maisha number, your lifetime number, which now, if you are 18 years old and above, your Maisha number is your ID number, the current ID number. If you are turning 18, we shall give you a 9-digit unique number, which is your Maisha number. And even those who are being born now are being given a Maisha number, which they use it for their lifetime. I hope I have become very clear about this Maisha card an ID. The international law, ICAO, could not allow us to only use Maisha card alone. They wanted the name National Identity Card to be on the card. So we also have that on the card. You cannot be allowed to say it's only Maisha card. They will ask you, then how does it relate to national ID? In as far as I want to say that the previous two governments, government of Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta and government of Mwai Kibaki, attempted to introduce third generation ID, but they did not succeed because of many issues. The latest attempt was Huduma number. It failed in Parliament. Parliamentarians did not pass a law to implement Huduma number. That is why we are now forced to think outside the box and say, what are we going to do? Because Kenyans were lagging behind in the entire Africa in terms of the next generation of identity, which has a chip and has the latest security features. So Kenya Kwanza government decided we have to go Maisha card direction. That is why. So, and when you have this card, you don't need anything else. You don't need a driving license. You don't need an NHIF. This card will do everything else when you are in Kenya. It will do everything else. What you need only is a passport to go to a foreign country, not East Africa. When you are in Kenya and East Africa.
Yes, Mutembei.
Chair. Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm asking a point of order, Chair, because of the issue of driving license. When the PS says you don't need a driving license, then how do you know that you've qualified as a driver to use that as a driving license?
Okay, in terms of identity, if you want to be known, this card is, of course, globally, and when we are talking about international documents required, there is this ID card which serves all the purposes, there is a passport, and of course internationally, usually driving license is also recognized internationally. So I beg your pardon, Honorable Mutembei, because I think driving license is usually peculiar also, just like a passport. You can't use. I beg your pardon. Thank you for that correction. But everything else, NHIF, NSSF, and any other card, you don't need any other card. You just need this card, and you can do everything else around the country.
So that you are very clear, Professor. That card, you have been put a lot on NSSF, on NHIF, on driving, and all that. And can you emphasize what is contained in the chip there?
This chip has the accurate information about the holder.
Yes.
And this card is integrated to the systems of the police, of health, of education, so that when you present it, it can be confirmed that that is yourself.
That's okay.
All right, it's a clear confirmation. So that you don't need to carry an NHIF card. If you have this and they key in your Maisha number, it will show your identity clearly, unlike the second generation ID. Sorry for that mix-up, Chair. Now, Honorable JD also asked, will I be required to go for the card? Because of what happened before with Huduma and other initiatives to have the new card, we decided to change the strategy. We said we are not going to force Kenyans to get this card. We shall do it incrementally. And as we speak now, as you have seen the data, we have already done 1.8 million Kenyans, both new applicants and those who are replacing. Anybody now who loses their card will get the new card. And we agreed with my team that we need to give a transition period of about 5 years to be able to transit fully because of resources. We didn't want to call all Kenyans come for your biometric the way we did with the Duma, because there will be more and more problems. So right now, Kenyans are free to upgrade from second generation to third generation at will. And we are saying, we are not forcing anybody, we are just telling them, if you need the latest card, you can walk to the nearest Huduma center or NRB office, and you can apply for it online, and you can get it. But the current card you're using is still valid. You can still use it and get services with it without a problem. Because this is just an upgrade of a more secure card.
And we are encouraging Kenyans. Chairman, at that point, when you're talking to Kenyans, so I just walk into an Huduma center.
Yes.
My second generation, that's all.
Yes. That is all. And you say I want to replace. And for those people who say...
Point on information, yes, I think she wants to inform you.
Not information, but if one has, he has to work with the card. But when it is
lost.
When they have lost it, what do they get?
When you lose it, I think you are asking that question, Honorable Chair, you have to get a police abstract. That is the procedure. Unless you are just upgrading. But if you lose your card, then the procedure has been, you go to a police station, you report, you get a police abstract, and then you can now present that one now. But if you want to upgrade, you can be able to upgrade without any problem.
Chairman, why I'm asking this, because there are some people who have old driving licenses in a red. So that information is, where will you get that information if I just walk in with my current card? The old generation of driving license, the one that has pages.
Yes. I think the old generation driving license had an ID number on it, which can be used as a reference to be able to acquire the third generation ID card. Honorable.
You have? Yes, appears you bear with us because you introduce yourself first, member for people, and I come back to. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Sailor.
Chair, I just want a small clarification from the PS. Chair, he said that for those who have the current ID, it's not mandatory to go and change to the Maisha. But listening to him very keenly, he said something in passing, which actually means it's mandatory within 5 years. If you listen to him, he said they decided to give it 5 years. So, are you saying that there is a window that within 5 years, let Kenyans know everyone should have changed, so that you don't make it so diplomatic that it's not mandatory, but within the same paragraph, you are hiding the word mandatory?
That's what it is.
Yes, proceed, yes.
Oh,
yeah. You are inputting on the discussion.
Yeah, I just want to ask.
On the same?
Yes, on the same.
Not a new question.
I have never asked.
He's answering some
questions. It's about
order, just open order.
Okay, there was a question by Honorable Jerusha. Challenges. But in terms of challenges legally, there are many litigations around this. But technologically, we don't have any problem. In terms of experience, we are using our staff already very good in identity. We are good in terms of preparation. But in terms of civil society and other stakeholders, they really want to understand more and more. So we have quite a number of bottlenecks. And this is the 5th time this thing is being done. For the first 4 times, it did not go through because of litigations and other challenges. And public participation, many other challenges around this. Those beyond 18 years, when are they going to stop using the new, when are they going to be issued with the new IDs? I thought that was the question. We've said we are going to go progressively and we are going to go systematically, and I think Honorable Jendi had also asked almost similar question. We are saying we are giving an option for all persons above 18 who already have second generation ID. You have the option of going for a replacement with a more secure card, with a digital card. So it's now optional. It's not a must that you must be forced to get it. It will take quite some time. Now, in terms of expiry date, I think you have observed that this has been a little bit of a contentious issue. There are quite a number of reasons why the third generation ID has an expiry date. Number 1 is technology. As we are all aware, technology keeps on changing. And with changing technology, the team felt it was very important that we have a card which we can be able to review after some time. And if you can recall, honorable members, our first generation ID, the big one, which was issued in 1979, had an expiry date. It was only lasting for 10 years. The second generation, the one which is now we now have, is the one which didn't have because there was a gap. So technology keeps on changing. The second reason is because of international requirement. ICAO requires that all identity documents have an expiry date, including the passports, including the IDs. It's a requirement. So for our card to meet international standard, we have to introduce an expiry date. Number 3, cleaning of the database. We realize that there are people who remain in the database for a long time. So with the introduction of expiry date, then the government is able to clean the database on time without much delay. So we looked at all considerations without looking at anything else. We thought this is the right thing to do for this country. To have a document that meets international standard, that meets technological standards, and that reflects the changing technology for this country. So the expiry date, it is true, we have it there, not because of any other reason, because we wanted to comply with the international standard. If the ID is lost, does he have to go for a procedure? Honorable Jerush, I think there is no procedure. Right now, when you lose your ID, you go up to a police station, you report you have lost your ID, you get an abstract, and you walk straight to a Huduma center. You feed it on e-citizen without having to struggle. You know the ID number. You just fill in there. It is paperless. You fill in there. It is sent to headquarters digitally, and within 10 days you have your card. So right now, replacement is moving very fast. And as I've said, we don't have any backlog. So when you apply now, within 3-4 days, it's been printed. And within another 5 days, it is shipped to the place where you applied from. Honorable Mbaka, is Maisha card a national ID? I think I've answered that. I think a Maisha card is a national identity card. It is a card that we are now using, and it's a third generation ID. Are you giving children cards? The answer is no. We are only issuing children with a number that they will use in school, they will use in primary, secondary, in the university, and that number we are giving them, which will be a number in names, will be the same number that will be their ID number when they get 18.
At what time are you giving children numbers?
We have started issuing at birth.
So this is the birth number?
It's the birth number. The number now on the birth certificate, which was initially called entry number, is now called Maisha number. That is the number now. And that number, they don't leave it. They use it as a lifetime number. Just like in the US when you have your social security number. It's the same model of a number. It was difficult to get an ID card when she got married, Honorable Mbaka, and changing the name. I think we are coming from a very difficult history where people get a big problem. Right now we have a system that is working and that is efficient. And Honorable Mbaka, if you present your marriage certificate and you present your other names, NRB should be able to change your name and give you a new ID within 10 days. That's no longer a problem. I think we are coming from a history where it is very difficult. You know, initially, it took 3 months to get an ID. Right now, maximum 10 days. And for the neighboring areas, we usually make it even 7 or less than 7 days, and you get your card. So I will call upon fellow Kenyans and Honorable Mbaka, apply now, and you can test the system. Within 10 days, you have your card.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
There was a section where your husband had to sign, and my husband travels a lot. It was very difficult for him to sign it. In any case, even the form that you are to get, I don't know, from the chief, you couldn't even carry it to the house for him to sign. So I'm so happy that you have sorted out the problem of married people.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbaka. So I've already answered on the issue of schools. We are rolling out in schools, and we are doing it in all schools in Kenya. So that is Honorable Maungu, shifted from, there are no longer any queues now for the ID, all over the country. All right, queues are the thing of the past. How do you commit the status of application? How do you, Honorable Maungu, how do you keep the status of application?
I meant how do you inform the applicants of the status?
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. We are now sending SMSs to all applicants around the country. If your ID is ready, we are sending you get a message that come and collect your ID. So we have a system now in place where Kenyans are informed. Even the 576 have been informed. So that sometimes Kenyans don't take it that serious. They don't come. But Kenyans are informed, even for passports. You apply for it, we send you a message, come and pick it. Some of them don't come. For birth certificates or Maungu, there's still a small challenge with birth certificates because we don't have offices around the country. When Kenya Kwanza came to office, we agreed that we shall open an office in every constituency. We'll have 290 offices. When we came to office, we had only 120 offices for CRS around the country. But we have agreed with my team, we are opening an office in every constituency. Last year, when we came to office, we have been able to open 40 offices for CRS, 40 offices. Right now, we have agreed that by 2027, we shall have opened 130 offices in every constituency. In fact, the latest office I opened was in Mutembei constituency, and Robert Phillips Bartho is here. And we opened a CRS office in Mutembei constituency. And I want to call upon members of parliament. It's partnership. We are saying through CDF, we can build offices, and then we can be able to equip them, and we can send our CRO officer there, so that we can partner to open the remaining 130 offices around the country, because we want civil registration services, birth certificates to be available for Kenyans around the country.
Maybe that's a good point, PS, just to remind this committee that the CS for Interior, Professor Kindiki, when he appeared in Parliament.
He's the PS, he's the CS Interior.
He's still the CS Interior. And
the Senate
Deputy President. When he appeared in Parliament sometimes back in March, during the question time, he did commit that indeed they were going to establish those centers in the sub-counties. It appears parents are going through a lot of hurdle in trying to access a basic document known as a birth certificate. And as it is, for them to get registered for NEMIS, they need to have these documents. And therefore, 20% will be too far. I wish you told us that by next year, June, by the end of this financial year, that in Rwanda, where I come from, my mothers would have to travel close to 50 kilometers to go and secure a birth certificate. So just like you've dealt with the issue of ID, I believe you can take the same strength into birth certificates, and it will be a big deal for this country. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that one is...
Thank you very much.
You have a question? Yeah. A follow-up on that?
Follow-up on those offices. Can you tell us what they are going to do to make this issue of birth certificate more effective and so accessible to those people, even in the interior village? Take for example, somewhere like Mosilo. How can somebody go all the way to Narok town to get that birth certificate in the easiest way?
Thank you. Yes,
okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just to report that we are doing everything possible to ensure that we avail birth certificates, because children cannot go to school without birth certificates, and I agree with the Honorable Tonge. And I wanted to say, Honorable Chair, that we are now going also digital. Apart from the physical offices, which are helping us, people now can apply for birth certificates on eCitizen, wherever they are, and you can be able to get your birth certificate very, very efficiently. We have the digital component, but Kenyans also believe in the physical offices. But we are saying, apart from the physical offices, we are also availing these services on the e-citizen platform. So Kenyans can also apply. Right now, when you go to e-citizen, you go to CRS, you can apply for your birth certificate or even death certificate on e-citizen. So that has answered the question by Honorable Mutembei. And clearly, there's still a challenge, but we are doing everything possible to ensure that we deal with that challenge. Although Mom is saying 2027 is far, remember this year alone we have opened 40, and it's about resources. It's about government allocating more resources for this kind of initiative. For school, I think I've answered for the school. Honorable Tonge asked about school IDs. I think we are rolling out the program for school IDs. We are hoping that we get at least 90% of students who are completing school get the IDs before they leave school. Honorable Phyllis talked about vetting and upside applications. Thank you very much. That was a compliment. We have removed vetting. Now things are moving faster, and people in the border counties, including Northeastern, including Busia, Turkana, they are not feeling.
But how worry was foreigners.
And
what are you doing?
What measures?
What the measures?
When we configured this issue of vetting, and before it was abolished on the 1st of May this year by His Excellency the President, we introduced a number of measures. Number one, we are going to hold the chiefs and assistant chiefs personally accountable for anybody being issued documents who is not a Kenyan. If an assistant chief or a chief colludes, then they are held accountable because they are supposed to thumbprint, or at least, thumbprint actually. So we can actually confirm who gave that ID. That is number one. Number two, we have upgraded our school enrollment now for IDs. We said because schools actually know these children better, we are now emphasizing on school enrollment as a way of ensuring that there is a check, because most of the students we have are either declared foreigners or they are Kenyans. And school heads and administrations help us actually to ensure that we give the right people these documents. So holding chiefs accountable and assistant chiefs is something we are doing. You know, initially what was happening, people would queue at the DC's office or county commissioner's office for vetting, so that DCI, NIS, everybody is there to vet them. But that is what His Excellency abolished as a process. But in terms of validating to ensure that, because when the applications are sent here, we look at the family tree. Is this person really a Kenyan? We find out who are their parents, who are their relatives, so that we can be able to see who are their grandparents, so that we can be able to see, because we don't do vetting in the field, but we do what we call validation or cross-checking to confirm the person we are giving the document is really a Kenyan. So we have a team at the headquarters who do that, but we are not doing vetting in the field.
Chairman, on the same, about vetting. Yes. My constituency as a Nubian community, and up to now they are still being vetted. And here, this PS is saying there's no vetting. They are being vetted every Tuesday, and quite a number do not even have ID cards. What is your position on that? The Nubians, they have no place, they have no other country, they are Kenyans.
Which constituency?
Kibra. Kibra is just, yeah. What?
Is 200 meters away from.
Okay. Allow me, Chair, to answer this one of Nubians. Nubians, the Minister for Interior is in the process of organizing a code for the Nubian community. I think the Nubians have been recognized as the tribe, but I think what they have been missing is a code. And I think that is what the Minister for Interior, on the instructions of His Excellency, is doing to clear. And I want to assure Honourable Member that we are doing everything to ensure that the Nubians are properly recognized and they have a code, because that code is the one which is bringing a few problems when it comes to identity documents. But we are doing everything to sort that problem out with the Minister.
There was this issue, I saw the Makondes one. Was it last year or the other year?
Last year. It was the other year. We recognized actually the Makonde, the Shona, and the Pemba. We have also recognized the Nubians.
But
it's only that
you've not coded.
we have not issued them with a code.
Chairman, you remember I asked this question the last time, and it's the same answer that I'm getting. The days of Karuki Jutara would have asked, how much is this code so that you could buy?
I know you are speaking with the gallery. The CS have just confirmed that the process. Proceed, PS.
Thank you very much. I want to assure the member for Kibra that by today's 21st, before the end of this month, that code will have been gazetted, because it's a discussion we have had with the minister quite a number of times, and there's a way we were doing it internally. And before then, within the next 8 days, I want to assure you that code will have been gazetted by the Minister for Interior. Honorable Kisairo asked me about the 5 years issue. It seems like we have a timeline for phasing out second generation ID. The answer is we have not explicitly said within 5 years the current ID would not be useful. We have only said we have given ourselves time, and we wanted to move it, we wanted the transition to be as smooth as possible, so that nobody is denied services because they have second generation ID. And we have given ourselves a period of 5 years to see. In any case, we are issuing 3 million IDs every year. So in 5 years, we are talking about 15 million. In our record, we have about 32 million registered persons. So you can be sure within 5 years, more than half, maybe around half of the population will already be having this new third generation ID. So when we say we shall review as we go forward. In any case, our ID numbers don't change. We still use the same ID number. It's only that you get a document, or rather an ID, which is more secure, that you will be sure that nobody can take away your land, nobody can take away your money in the bank account, nobody can change your SIM card without your authority, because that is the security we are looking at in the third generation ID. And we are not very strict as to, by this period, you must have had this generation ID. But when you lose your ID now, you don't have a choice. You will have to get the third generation ID. Anybody who loses these IDs. And we are projecting that by 2028, thereabouts 2029, more than 20 million Kenyans will be having this third generation ID. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Any more questions? Let me give the member for Kibra. And
I don't know whether it is not in my constituency where there is an allergy and a myth that anything containing a chip and you have it in your body, there is an opinion outside there that this chip has a radiation and reduces the life of Kenyans, and also affects our reproductive organs, so that it controls the birth rate of Kenyans and the lifespan. So most of people in informal sectors are afraid to go and take this new generation ID. What method and what ways are you going to tell Kenyans that it is very safe and there is nothing like that?
Thank you. So to remove myths, yes.
And Kenyans lost 10 billion shillings out of that Huduma card. As a PS of that State Department, have you handled this issue of the failed Huduma card in which Kenyans lost 10 billion shillings? And what is the difference? Why didn't we proceed with the Huduma card instead of introducing the Maisha card? What is the significant difference in view of the 10 billion shillings that we lost in the Huduma number card?
Thank you. Yes. Next, then we come to.
With those explanations, the challenges that were there, particularly of registration of new ID cards, Huduma number, the rest, will be now ironed. I am also impressed that we're in the process of establishing the Huduma centers in all constituencies, and the seats have come late to the chair.
Registration centers.
Registration centers.
Yes, not Huduma centers. Yes, thank you. I thank you for that. Yes, then we give back to the case.
Mine is to do with the levy, the staff fee of 1,000. That applicants have to pay 1,000. But now I'm looking at the kind of applicant. It's not me, it's not you. He is a person who is still in school or who has finished school and still requires this now ID, which has my number. They ask for 1,000. Have you gone out there or got information from the local administrators to establish the impact of this, whether it is enhancing registration or discouraging? In some places, this is a discouragement. And like my place, the issue of 1,000 is causing many parents, many students, and many applicants not to apply. And like in Kibra, where they're thinking that that chip affects the body of a human being. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good not to keep it alone. You know, Kenya is the school system. What is the uptake up to now? Noting that the students who are 18 years and above, how many of you have registered across the Republic? What's the percentage of uptake? Is it 20, 30? So that by the end of the year, we have no problem with the students seeking for loans, scholarships, and the rest. What's the uptake as we speak?
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Allow me to start with the question of Honorable Member from
Mwalimu Orero.
Mwalimu Orero.
Yes, yes.
Orero. Sorry for that. Orero Mwalimu. Now, this chip. Well, I think just to start by saying, it is not true that the chip affects the lifespan or productivity of Kenyans. I think it is not true. We all have ATM cards, and they are in our pockets.
They have chips.
Not even for one bank. You can be having 3, 4, 5. And if it was about production, I'm sure it would have been affected a long time ago. Because there's no evidence. At least there's no scientific evidence. You know, we have, in this project of identity, we have sometimes a lot of opposition from interested parties. I don't know whether honorable members you saw through the chair, you saw a clip that was going around on the internet that with now Maisha number we are putting chips on newborns, on children. Those are lies. People wanted, and we're talking about something Bill Gates want to bring one. Those were all lies to bring down this project. And it has been done 4 times, honorable members. That is why we are seeking your support on this project. Because out there are so many stories, oh, you want to bring... In fact, when I had a meeting with the religious leaders, they told me, you are bringing 666 to us. Well, I told them this is mentioned. But you see, those are myths, which are not true. All right? I told them I'm an Anglican, I go to church. How can I actually be the one? In fact, the advantage is that my bishop was there and he was able to defend me. And there is no way I can bring the number of the last days at the 666. Similarly, this thing of saying people will not give back, become accused, we are actually now asking Kenyans, come for them, come for them. And like before, where they were making noise and attacking us on these documents. Honorable Jenny, on the issue of payment, let me make it very clear that new applicants for IDs are required to pay 300 shillings. Replacements of IDs are required to pay 1,000 shillings when you are replacing. But fresh applications are 300. The cost of one ID, to produce one ID, is 600. So the government is subsidizing up to 50% of the ID. So I think it was a bit an issue, but we've been trying to look for a middle ground. And that is why we settled on 300. But the cost, actual cost, including the material and the entire cost to printing, is 600. So we call upon Kenyans. It's a question of cost sharing. You pay 300, the government pays for 300, and then you get a new ID. So that is the middle ground we went. And when you look at the impact, right now, initially when we started, there was some impact. But when you look at right now, the number of people applying for IDs daily has risen to 20,000, to 10,000, up from about 6,000, 7,000 daily. So we don't see any negative impact of the increase in the cost, because these are documents you need to enjoy government services. And therefore, we have not seen any negative impact with the increase in this, or rather with the introduction of this cost. But we are still looking at it and monitoring to see the situation. And what I need to request honorable members through the chair is, we need your support so that Kenyans can really understand. It's not really about the payment. It is about getting a document that is secure.
That you reduce it to 10 days, 7 days is quite commendable. Thank you. True, we also need to ask you that let the 965 students be issued with ID, so that as we move into the next phase of placing them to all universities, colleges, they'll be able now to get loans, scholarships very easily, and will not have a problem. This actually, we want to have a seamless system where parents and students have no complaint whatsoever, especially in terms of student admission to universities. Lastly, comment you especially on the opening of our new, of the registration centers. I think I'm one of the beneficiaries. Early this year, you opened a registration center in my constituency. We used to travel all the way 70 kilometers to Kapsabet. And you know, my constituency is very hilly, rugged terrain with a lot of small rivers, so it's difficult for people to move. But as we speak, we really commend you for that. Lastly, I want to ask you, PS, to really make sure that the issuance of ID, you take it to the level of the passport, so that the passport is also issued with a lot of speed. Noting that Kenyans now are a global community. Many of them would want to visit, get out of the country, move to all parts of the world. Kindly issue the passport with speed, the way you have done with the ID. Thank you so much, and I think we are through with our session. Members, I think I want to thank you for your questions and commitment for this particular meeting. Asante PS. Thank you.